expert about music.
We have never been so eagerly anticipating something like this. It's incredible. It's like you've swallowed Baz Luhrmann.
Shall I just introduce him?
Yes,
We've got
please.
producer Richard Crichton and star Duncan Rock from Don Giovanni the Opera.
I think we should clap like this. No.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes, for that.
I'm going to get one of those 20p glasses and look for my stool.
You should have all worn your top hats today.
Oh my God! Just say that again.
Duncan. You're quite posh, Duncan, aren't you?
Duncan.
And also a strapping man, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
So, Richard, how did Duncan get the role?
They did hear me sing.
A friend of his recommended him, and we talked to a few people, and we met Duncan, and he sang, and he was just wonderful, and just ticks all the boxes.
Yeah.
There was no debate.
I'm just going to hold up the poster.
Do you know, I haven't even... I've seen on your website, which is www.dongiovannitheopera.com, and I liked you even before I heard you, Duncan. You've got that thing about you, haven't you?
Oh.
Look at the poster. You like you before you actually know you.
Yes.
Oh, that's very sweet.
That's quite unique. That
Things
doesn't
don't change.
No, that doesn't happen very often. That doesn't happen.
So, Richard, just got to get us into the theme of things. How did Don Giovanni come about in this version?
Well, the whole idea came out of going to Matthew Bourne's Swan Lake.
Beautiful.
In 1996.
Yeah.
I walked out of there and said, if only someone could do this role reversal thing in the world of opera, it'd be fantastic. And I'm a Puccini fan, so I spent the next 10 years thinking of how can I make a Puccini opera do it, and I couldn't think of it. And then eventually I heard Willard White on the telly singing Madamina's catalogue song, which is the song with all the number of lovers that the Don has had, 1,000 in Germany, 800 in...
Just like Neil.
Yeah,
just like
exactly,
Neil.
Exactly. And that's when the penny dropped, because I have a friend who's had way more lovers than that, and I suddenly thought, actually, this story is, you know, the scene as I remember it in the 80s and 90s, you know, all going wild. So, and that's when the idea came about of trying to role reverse it.
So, Duncan, how are you coping with this concept of the role reversal?
Well, I think it works really, really well, actually, and you can tell that Richard and Dominic really thought about the fit, and if it was superimposing an idea that they had onto an opera, or if it could actually really work. And it does. I mean, of course, there are a few... doing a translation, there had to be quite a lot of liberties taken to accommodate the role reversal, not just changing of genders, but a lot of the text had to be changed a bit. And of course then there are some musical issues. There are differences in harmonies when you're singing with 3 men as opposed to singing with a man and 2 women. But that's all been dealt with very thoughtfully and very carefully, I think. And I think it works extremely well.
So what's the sort of rough story then of this opera?
He's a slag, isn't he?
He is a slag. He's a slag, not to put too fine a point. Well, basically, in the original story, Giovanni is a nobleman who has thousands of lovers, and he and his servant, Leporello...
can you say Leporello again? I like
Leporello.
Oh my God.
They basically go around Europe seducing women and getting up to mischief. Now, in this piece, in this version, we've made Don Giovanni an openly gay man, and the context is London 1987, and he is a nightclub owner. And basically he and his now PA, who is now a lady and her name is Leo, go around doing the same thing, but instead of seducing ladies, he's corrupting young men, basically.
Have you had to do quite a lot of research for this? It's got an operatic laugh, I love it.
No, I've been a very good boy.
Have you really?
It's all acting, it's all acting.
Oh, it's all acting.
That's what they all say.
I get the impression it's quite raunchy, quite bawdy.
I don't think it's bawdy for the sake of being bawdy.
No.
But, I mean, when Don Giovanni was written in, it was first premiered in 1787. It was absolutely scandalous to talk about this man going around and having these thousands and thousands of lovers. And I think it's not raunchy for the sake of it, but certainly the story is inherently sexual and inherently raunchy, and we certainly capture that. I think it's part of.
Certainly have. If we put these posters up, we're filming this as well.
Put it up,
and there's another one here. Now, tell us a little bit about these posters, because these have been banned in certain parts. You don't don't need to name everything, but they got turned away, didn't they, the first time?
Yeah. No, we've had a bit of problem really. We've tried to. I found an image that worked for in a sort of operatic, artistic way because I follow things at the Opera House and things like that, and I've seen some of their posters, and I thought, oh, this picture of a lad on the bed, and it just looks like sort of
beautiful,
a beautiful bit of art, sort of photograph. And so we used that, and then of course we cast Duncan, and then it was banned on Google. And am I allowed to say that?
Yes, of course you are.
It was banned by Google, and so we said, right, we'll swap pictures and we'll use Duncan. So we got the fantastic shot of Duncan, and we used that as the poster, and they banned that as well.
Do you think if it had been a woman, they'd have banned it?
I actually think you might be right. I don't know. I really think you look at things like David Beckham on the side of a skyscraper in New York with his knickers hanging out. You look at some of these, spray things, with all these men walking out the water, and that's all fine. But I think we're small fry. We're a small company. Maybe we don't tick the boxes for Google.
We can't see a bare cheek, bottom cheek. That'll send the world upside down.
I wanted to ask you, because as producer, you're obviously a big fan of opera. For a lot of people, opera are like, oh my God, no, that's not for me. Well, this sounds like a real good entry level into getting into opera, maybe.
Well, I would like to think so. I hope it's a lot of fun. We've been very brave in cutting, because it's normally 2 hours 47, and we've cut it down to 90 minutes. So first off, it's not going to be too long for people, hopefully. And we've been really tight on making sure that we tell the story as well and as clearly as possible. So there isn't a lot of filling, if you like. And
also from the music as well, which we played a snatch of earlier on. Clearly, it's all in English as well, so you can understand what's going on. It's not in Italian.
Absolutely. Ranjit Bolt, who's a fantastic translator, and our colleague David Collier have worked together to produce this fantastic translation. So we've got some great rhymes and clever word plays and things like that, and very modern. And we're aiming to be as truthful as we can to the 1980s gay scene. It's not just, oh, what a wonderful flower and a beautiful sunset and all that kind of thing, which of course opera's famous.
Did you spend some time looking sort of online and doing some research into the 80s scene to get that kind of mood?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I actually remember the 80s. So that was quite easy, and as does our director Dominic as well. So we work from memory there, I think.
Did you used to go clubbing at Heaven then in the 80s?
Yes, and yes, and
Duncan's
it's all true.
He wants to hear these stories now.
What was it like?
Forward to stories.
What was it like back in the day, Richard?
It was a little salacious, absolutely, and really good fun, and we all had a good time in those days. And when I first came to London, when I first going out on the scene, I remember going to clubs like the Hippodrome off Leicester Square, and it was quite interesting because in '84, when I first started going out, everybody was mixed. You had your trannies, you had your leathers, you had your clones, and they all came together, in the club, and they all mixed and enjoyed themselves. As it became more acceptable, the gay scene was still behind blackened out windows and all that kind of thing. And you got your leather clubs and your clone clubs and your tranny clubs are all separate and everything. And but now that's all gone. The really sad thing is all those sort of clubs are beginning to go because it's all on the internet now. Oh. So there we go.
May I just say, from a personal point of view, I've never wanted to see something so much. We were talking about when we're going to go. You're only doing, how many dates are you doing?
We're just doing 6 dates.
Six
dates.
Yeah.
Oh, and when's this? Which dates are these, and when can people come and see it?
It's on Sundays and Mondays, 15th and 16th of April, 22nd and 23rd of April, 29th and 30th of April, and it's 5 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, so you can still get home and get up to work the next day. Yeah. And it's 7 o'clock after work idea on a Monday night. So, and again, it's 90 minutes plus an interval, 2 hours. You'll be in and out. So.
Don Giovanni the Opera.com is the website.
Can I ask you, please, Duncan? You're a strapping man. How are you going to deal with all these fans that are going to be throwing themselves at you?
I have no idea. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, when you walked into Gaydar Towers, the amount of people that came in and said, "Who is that? Who's that? Who's that?"
Do you work out?
Yes.
A little bit. What about yourself?
No, I'm not. Not pretty. You can see
we eat out. We eat out.
I have to say, it's a very
No
lesbian
jokes.
thing to say.
I think it's important. I mean, you know, this is something I'm really excited about, and something very different for me. I normally work at English National Opera, and I've worked a bit at Glyndebourne and places like these, quite standard, you know, the standard opera houses, and I adore that. But I think. This idea of opera singers being clones of Pavarotti, you know, overweight, and it's really has disappeared. I think it's more of a stereotype now. Certainly, people, it's still an art form about music and voice and singing, but I think it's very important to look the part. Particularly for a role like Don Giovanni or the other roles where there are certain physical characteristics that you'd expect. So it's still, you know, it's not about, certainly it's never an art form that's going to be taken over by people's looks. But I think it's certainly much more important to be able to be convincing dramatically and on stage.
Passionate about music.